He's won more titles than anyone in PBA history. Deadeye Walter Ray Williams Jr. But lately, Walter Ray has been hard to find, at least in televised PBA Tour finals. His last appearance was nearly 3 years ago. But today, the living legend is back. Number 2 on the stepladder here at the PBA Chameleon Finals. It's an event that includes the last 2 Chameleon winners, Scott Norton and today's number 1 seed, Jason Belmonte, as well as an unknown in Norton and Fawaz Abdulla. Can Walter Ray survive against those young guns and collect the 48th title of his incredible career? Find out as the Geico World Series of Bowling rolls on from Las Vegas. Welcome to Las Vegas and South Point Casino and Hotel. I'm Lon McCarran with Randy Peterson and Kimberly Bresler. It's time to get this World Series of Bowling Chameleon Championship underway. Here with the player introductions is Mike J.
The number 4 player earned a gold medal at the 2011 Arab Championships and is the first player from the Middle East to make a PBA Tour telecast. Representing Bahrain, Fawaz Abdulla. The number 3 qualifier is the 2010 Chameleon Champion and is the 2011 PBA Rookie of the Year from Mission Viejo, California, the Counselor, Scott Norton. The number 2 player is the all-time PBA Tour title holder with 47, 7-time PBA Player of the Year from Ocala, Florida, Deadeye, PBA Hall of Famer Walter Ray Williams Jr. The tournament leader is the 2008 World 10-Pin Bowler of the Year with 5 career PBA Tour titles from Orange, New South Wales, Australia, Belmo, Jason Belmonte.
Randy, we've got a good one here. Number 4 seed Fawaz Abdulla making PBA history, just the first Middle Eastern bowler on a PBA TV show. Jumped from 6th into the show on the last game of qualifying. This is going to be fun to watch.
Sure is. I can't wait.
And here's the pattern they're bowling on.
The Chameleon, 39 feet in length. The players are going to play the extreme outside part of the lane. They can't just throw it towards the channel, though, Lon. They've got to go pretty straight. Once the oil starts to break down a bit, the players will just kind of parallel in off of that. Scott Norton's going to play him the same way on the left side of the lane.
Norton, the number 3 seed, has a title on this pattern from 2 years ago here at the World Series of Bowling, called the Counselor because he is an attorney, has his own practice in Oceanside, from Mission Viejo, California, in his 3rd PBA season. Opening ball of this championship, and Norton comes up with a strike. Now Abdulla taking the lane, and he is under some duress. Came down with a severe case of gout just a few nights ago. Randy had to be taken to the hospital in a wheelchair. He hasn't bowled in 6 days, and here you see on the warm-up lane, trying to test really what he's up against today. An amazing story.
It really is. And gout's a kind of arthritis that occurs when the uric acid builds up in the blood, and it's a extremely painful joint inflammation. He hasn't bowled in a number of days and wasn't sure if he'd be able to do it today, but here he is getting ready to throw his first ever shot under the bright lights of the PBA Tour.
His right foot, the affected foot. There, history being made on the PBA, and look at that. Wow. Performing under great pressure.
Well, this guy's a great athlete. Now let's take a look at his form when he was healthy. This is during qualifying. I want you to pay close attention to that 4th step. You notice how he actually really drives hard off of that 4th step. Now watch this, the 4th step, the pivot step right before the slide. Gets off of that step much, much faster. Now watch the split screen here. I want you to watch the balance. Now here's the 4th step. Watch how quickly he gets off of it. The picture on your right. Now look how much better his balance is when he doesn't drive as hard. He actually stays better balanced. A little bit slower and much more in balance.
Maybe the new pace will help him out if he can handle the pain. Coming off the strike. No strike there on the left side. Abdulla just has one functioning kidney. This has been a condition he's been dealing with for several years. It's quite painful, as I mentioned. A couple of years ago, his left leg, he said, blew up twice its size. He's lucky to be alive. What a gutsy performance from him and the entire Bahrainian team, who has performed so well at the World Series of Bowling. So trying to clean up here on the left side. Fawaz Abdulla, 35 years old, from Isa Town, Bahrain. Small country on the Persian Gulf of about 1.3 million people.
A true gentleman, just a delight to talk with. I couldn't wait to watch this guy bowl. We all were just hoping that he would be able to go physically. And
you see him keeping as much weight off as possible. You saw him give a wink, I assume, to Tim Mack, his coach and coach of the Bahrainian national team. He said, yeah, I'm okay to go. All right, Norton back on the lane. On the right side, 7-pin.
Come on.
Norton, PBA Rookie of the Year in the past.
I want you to watch how close he gets to the foul line here, Lon. Check this out.
Ooh.
Of course, if his slide foot or any other part of his body were to go to that foul line, it'd be zero.
Feeling good.
Well, Norton picks up the spare. Let's see what he's working with.
Well, he's using the big hook, the Enigma. That down and in style. He's not a big power player. I'd classify him as a tweener, kind of an in-between straight and big cranker. He's got real late timing.
Even score so far through 2. Norton now in the 3rd.
Real deliberate.
Make it, make it!
Didn't make it.
Let's take a look at his form. Like I was saying, very deliberate timing here. Gets that ball into the swing late. Now, he's really got to wait for this ball on the way down because of the fact that it is into the swing late. You can see the rotation a little bit around the side of the ball. He's doing that on purpose to get the ball to react more down lane.
Of course, if Norton can make it through. Oh, my goodness. Opens up there with a miss on the 10-pin.
Whoa.
I was going to say, if he gets through to the finals, we'd have a battle of the last 2 champions on this pattern.
Just a mental error here. He pulls it. The ball hooks a little right by the 10-pin.
Norton 48 after 3. Abdulla now up 12. He is clean on that right side.
Impressive. Like I mentioned earlier, he's a great athlete. As you take a look at this form once again, how gingerly he's getting off of that right foot. That ball's perfect in the pocket.
Fawaz is exceptional at several sports, but which is his favorite?
Right now, I'd definitely tell you bowling. I mean, I have great success in my life in sports. I was a Bahrain volleyball national team captain, and we have won many tournaments. I've won a bronze medal in 400 meters in Asian schools in Jakarta. I'm just really into sports. I'm now into bowling. I don't know where I'm going next.
Fawaz Abdulla, a natural athlete who's currently doing very well in the sport of bowling. Randy, here's his arsenal.
And going with a defiant soul. Again, another strong piece of equipment on this 39-foot oil pattern.
Trying to double.
Hook, hook!
And hooked. He's got the double.
How about showing a little Bahrainian maple moxie there? He takes advantage of the open frame by his opponent. This former captain of the Bahrainian national volleyball team. He was a sprinter. There's his teammates. And Fawaz Abdulla is actually the 3rd ranked player on their team.
Wait till you see what we got in the pipeline, huh? Oh, man.
Tim Mack's done a wonderful job with that team.
What a story developing here at South Point in the World Series of Bowling. But Norton answers back. Tim Mack, the coach of the Bahrainian national team. He has done wonders with that squad. He has them whipped popped into shape, got a strict training program. He went in and says, no, you guys are not training enough. I need to get you on a better schedule.
Yeah. Well, Tim's traveled the globe, and he knows what it takes to compete at this level.
And he's living there in Bahrain. His family's here in the U.S. He rarely sees them. He's been there a long time. It's tough on him.
Carry! Come on! Come on!
Double now from Norton. He is fired up.
Hey, let's not forget Scott Norton. He won his only title on this very same oil pattern. Nice comeback after the whiff on the 10-pin.
Bahrain, a country along the lines of Dubai, very westernized country. So they watch a lot of bowling. We've seen a lot of you on television over the years, Randy. Oh, no, that one got too far.
Well, he pulled it. He got it inside a little bit. Nice break, only leaving the 6-pin, but this ball never gets far enough right. You can see there, almost right at the third arrow. The last shot that he threw on that right lane was closer to the second arrow.
Something maybe overlooked, Randy. We talked about him coming through and working with this injury here, but again, the first time on TV, maybe some of that injury problem takes away from some of the nerves of the first time on TV.
Well, when you look at a list of his hobbies, spear gun fishing and scuba diving, I mean, this shouldn't scare him any.
You're right.
Have you ever been spear gun fishing, Lon? When you spear a fish, they usually bleed, and blood attracts sharks. I mean, I don't think this guy's nervous at all.
I don't think so either. He has competed at the highest levels, both in running. He runs 400 meters for the country, and as you mentioned, the volleyball as well. He knows pressure, and he knows the pressure of playing for your country. Abdulla up at 11 right there.
And again, you're just witnessing the beauty of the World Series of bowling.
_world. Comes back with a strike. Fawaz Abdulla really showing us something here in Las Vegas. We've got a great match. Abdulla and Norton come on back. The Chameleon Championship up for grabs. The PBA Chameleon Championship is brought to you by Geico, saving people money on more than just car insurance. Bayer Advanced Aspirin. See how it can work for you at FastReliefChallenge.com. Alka-Seltzer Plus, available in a liquid gel. And by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side. Back here at South Point for the Geico World Series of Bowling. We're in the arena for today's PBA Chameleon Finals, but the actual qualifying for this event took place in the South Point Bowling Center. Walter Ray Williams Jr. led through most of the 14 games of qualifying, but that was not enough to hold off Jason Belmonte, who really came alive in the round of 16, jumping from number 3 to number 1. Belmo posting big numbers of 278, 269, and 286 in the final 6 games. After missing the televised Viper finals by just 2 pins last week, Scott Norton had no problem making today's show. And it looked like former Player of the Year Tommy Jones would be joining Norton, Williams, and Belmonte in the Chameleon final, throwing a 278 in the second to last game, qualifying to move into 4th place. But Jones could manage only a 204 in the final game, which opened the door for Fawaz Abdulla. Coach Tim Mack doing what he could do to help Abdulla make the show. Fawaz needing a 234 or better to knock Jones out, and no problem for the Bahrainian. He made today's finals with 5 pins to spare, much to his and his teammates' relief, the first player from the Middle East to make a PBA Tour final. And there are the final pinfall totals from qualifying. The red and white colors of Bahrain being represented very well here today by Fawaz Abdulla. Let's get an update now on how he's feeling from the third member of our broadcast team, Kimberly Presley.
Well, I just spoke with Tim Mack, Fawaz's coach, during the break, and he said that Fawaz is performing at about 60%. He says his adrenaline is going right now, but he is not about to give up this chance because it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and he's going to push through it.
What a performance so far, Randy. Iranian team here up close and personal to watch their number 3 guy try to win a championship here on the PBA Tour. Abdulla with that painful foot. Now Scott Norton trailing by 11 pins, as you see, working on a double. Oh, 7 pin, painful.
Scotty's made some great shots in this match too. He hasn't missed a flush. The only blemish is the whip 10 pin. He could easily have the front 6 right now. This guy comes from good genes though. His mother's a USBC and PWBA Hall of Famer.
Virginia Norton.
Yeah.
She's here today. There is Craig Woodward, Scott Norton's spouse. They were married just over a year ago. Scott formally announced last May that he is gay, although he says most everyone already knew it. There are his parents in the upper left of your screen, Rick and Virginia Norton. Scott is grateful for all the support he's received from family and friends, both on the lanes and off.
I can't even begin to tell you how much my support system means to me at home. My best friend Missy Parkin and her husband Drew, and my mom and dad and my husband, and all of my other friends and family that have done nothing but support me and be there for me throughout my life. So this is for them, because I wouldn't be here without them. To have the support system that I have on top of being able to be strong inside myself is what's gotten me to this point. So it's all credit to them.
It's taken a lot of courage for Scott to come out, and he said he's glad he did. And he got the strike that time as the 7 pin finally went down.
Yeah, Scotty's a good person and a great kid. There's a lot of people that are really proud of him. He's pretty proud of this shot too, for all 10 going down for a change, and his ball did hit the pocket.
3 out of 4 for Scott, but still trailing.
This is going to be an interesting shot for me now, watching Fawaz Abdulla on the right lane. Last time he went high, his coach said, give it some room on that right lane, it'll hook.
Oh, it's trying to hook. Did not come back far enough. Do you see anything different in his approach now halfway through this game, Randy, than you saw earlier?
I don't, but that shot there was just an errant shot right. This is way too far outside. You can see that ball was never going to get back from that point.
Cleans it up. He grabbed that leg after his initial ball. I don't know if he was just wiping his hand or he was feeling some extra pain there. But I have to imagine the way he was walking around here, to be on his feet as much as he is right now for the first time in quite a while, it's got to be a challenge. But he is leading by 12.
And the only reason why he is leading is because of the bad pin carry by Scott Norton. And Fawaz did string a double there in the 3rd and 4th. I wouldn't give Scott Norton too many other opportunities. He needs to start striking. And that's the worst leave. Non-splitter washout that you can leave on this tour because of that back pin, the 9 pin.
Abdulla with some work to do here to clean it up.
You got to get the ball over in here, and you got to get it to hook into that spare to cover that back 9 pin. Problem is, if you get it a little too far to the right, it hangs, and if you get it inside of target, you're going to chop it.
Critical ball for the Bahrainian. Yeah, he leaves one. That was a tough one.
And that's going to be a big problem for him. He lost count, and it's an open frame, and Scott Norton's working on a strike, and he has not missed the pocket yet.
So a much tighter match now, as Norton now with the ball and his 8th frame. He has a battle on his hands, maybe one he didn't quite expect fully. Norton now with a small lead, strikes on that right side. He starts running to the door, opened by Abdulla.
Scott Norton showing his own maple moxie. Watch this.
Yes!
Now it's Norton up by 13.
Yes!
He's just getting ready to slam the door on Fawaz Abdulla. Talk about taking advantage of an open frame.
A three-bagger for Norton, looking for his second PBA title, second title on this pattern. Still has a lot of work to do. Now, the ninth for Abdulla. That'll make that leg feel better.
That was a really good shot, too. You could just tell as soon as he let go of it, he had really good balance, followed through right at the target. Ball was on line perfectly. He needs to strike out now to shoot 214. Scott Norton right now is at 217, but striking out in the 10th frame will force Norton to mark in the 10th.
Now trying to close strong. You heard him exhorting the ball to go, go, go.
Scott Norton just needs to stay behind the foul line and keep the ball on the lane, and he's going to move on.
Fawaz Abdulla from Bahrain made history in this match. The first Middle Eastern bowler to bowl a PBA title match. And it looks like he will not be going home with the championship. What a performance. What a week it was for the whole Bahrainian team, but this man in particular. He came into our interview session on crutches. He then went to the hospital in a wheelchair, tried to stay off that foot as much as possible, and has not had a chance to be on the lanes very much at all. There's a nice ball from Fawaz Abdulla.
Fawaz Abdulla, it was a pleasure meeting you, sir.
What a performance. Richly rewarded by the crowd here in Las Vegas. Fawaz Abdulla, you made your country proud. And you see what Norton needs just to stay behind the foul line, as you mentioned, Randy. And that makes it official.
Lon, you ever seen The Honeymooners?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Norton! Nice shot!
To the moon he's going. Scott Norton with the win. He moves through. Now he gets to take on Deadeye Walter Ray Williams Jr. Welcome back to the Geico PBA World Series of Bowling, getting ready for match number 2. Scott Norton moves through with a 225-194 victory over gutsy Fawaz Abdulla. And now Norton will meet Walter Ray Williams Jr. Well, you know, the PBA just keeps evolving. Recently, a new concept in the game was announced, but when team bowling makes its debut on January 27th, it will actually be a link to the game's past.
Prior to the professional bowling that fans know today, team bowling was extremely popular in the late 1950s and early 60s, thanks in large part to an all-star team known as the Budweisers. That team and others like it helped spawn a professional league which, some 50 years later, is the inspiration for the PBA's new team concept. Anticipation for the new 8-team bowling league is high, especially from its celebrity owners. NBA All-Star Chris Paul, NFL stars Terrell Owens, Lamar Woodley, and Jerome Bettis, comedians Kevin Hart, and Chris Hardwick, whose dad was a Hall of Fame bowler, Billy Hardwick. Recently, at South Point, each of those owners was represented by a franchise player at the first ever PBA League draft. The 8 franchise players are going to be selecting their team for their owners in the next few moments. First up is Hall of Famer Norm Duke, and he's been getting a lot of input from his potential teammates.
I've been more popular the last week than ever in my life. I got guys calling me, telling me, man, I'm in great form, striking every shot. They're even giving me their scores in league play.
With the first pick in the PBA League draft, Norm Duke selects Rhino Page.
It was certainly an honor when you get somebody like Norm, who's somebody I looked up to my entire life, to say, hey Rhino, I want you on my team.
Joining Norm and Rhino on the Dallas Strikers, the team owned by Terrell Owens, is Hall of Famer Amleto Monicelli, Mike Machuga, and Brian Smith. Four-time PBA titleist Bill O'Neill made Nico Koibinemi his first pick for owner Kevin Hart and the Philadelphia Hitmen. Mike Devaney, Chris Loschetter, and Dick Allen were also selected by O'Neill. Jerome Bettis was represented by Mike Fagan, who tapped Tom Smallwood, Mike Scroggins, Ronnie Russell, and Jesse Buss to play alongside him on the Motown Muscle. Finnish two-hander Osku Palermo gave the Pittsburgh Jackrabbits an international flavor by choosing Sweden's Martin Larsson, Canada's Dan McClellan, and Denmark's Thomas Larsson to join American Patrick Allen on that team's roster. Jason Belmonte selected Wes Malott, Andres Gomez, Parker Bone III, and Dave Wadka for Chris Paul's LAX team. Chris Barnes picked Englishmen Dom Barrett and Stuart Williams to join himself, Josh Blanchard, and Nathan Bohr on Chris Hardwick's Silver Lake Adam Splitters. 2 of the 8 teams are currently unnamed until their ownership is announced in January. The franchise player for the first of those is Hall of Famer Pete Weber, who chose Tommy Jones, Scott Norton, Jack Jurek, and John Zerbinski to be his teammates. While Sean Rash went with Ryan Simonelli, Ryan Schaefer, Walter Ray Williams Jr., and Jason Sterner to make up his team. A new era in professional bowling begins when PBA League competition kicks off Sunday, January 27th, live from Thunderbolt Lanes in Detroit.
Well, Randy, what's new is old. Team bowling coming back.
Yeah, it's come full circle now, and I think it's going to be great for the sport. It's going to be very exciting to get the greatest players in the world teaming up with each other. I look for some great things in the future for professional bowling and for the PBA Tour.
All right, we'll talk about great things. Scott Norton has his hands full in this next match with Walter Ray Williams Jr., the timeless one, 7-time player of the year. It's such a pleasure to watch him bowl.
Yeah, it really is, and you know, a lot of folks regard him as the greatest player to ever live, and I know that there's still a big debate over if it really is Walter Ray or if it's Earl Anthony. Walter Ray was voted the second greatest player to ever live, but he hasn't won in over 2.5 years on the big tour. He's won 4 times on the PBA 50 Tour, which formerly was called the Senior Tour, but the Senior Tour and the Young Guys Tour, 2 completely different animals.
And Walter Ray Williams knows that all too well. But here he is with another shot at a PBA title. When we come back, it will be Deadeye taking on Scott Norton. The PBA Chameleon Championship is brought to you by Geico, saving people money on more than just car insurance. Columbia 300, Columbia bowls the world over. Storm, bowlers serving bowlers. Storm is the bowlers company. And by Track, evolutionary, revolutionary. Welcome back to South Point Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada. This is the PBA Chameleon Championship, part of the Geico World Series of Bowling. Lon McCarron with Randy Peterson, Kimberly Pressler, and there is Deadeye. 53-year-old Walter Ray Williams Jr. looking for title number 48, Randy.
Hard to believe we didn't see him on a telecast last year. It's the first time that's happened in 26 years.
Isn't that amazing? He had 26 years in a row in a TV appearance, opening up the match here against Scott Norton on the left lane. Yeah, that's Deadeye. A style that has brought him so many accolades. PBA Hall of Famer in '95, USBC Hall of Famer in 2005. And now Norton coming off a 225-194 win in the opening match against Fawaz Abdulla of Bahrain. Wow, what a tough opening frame for Norton against the best in the game.
It's the first time we've seen a ball go high. Scott Norton all day.
Norton opens, and perhaps that begs the question, is he intimidated playing against one of the best to ever show up?
As amazing as he is, and as I mean, obviously he's the greatest bowler of all time. I mean, maybe not obviously, some people are going to argue Earl Anthony, but hey, he's certainly, you know, but at the end of the day, he still has to show up and throw 10 frames just like I do, and it's a one-game match, and I've beaten him before, and he's beaten me before, so, you know, it's a one-game match, and anything can happen. I'm just going to go out and throw the ball as well as I can.
So after that open frame, Norton will try to right the ship here in the second. Wow, 7-pin stays.
The scary part about having a southpaw on the telecast, if you're a right-hander, is if they have a good look and they're the only southpaw on the telecast, their shot's going to hold up. It's going to hold up a lot longer than the right side of the lane. Their side of the lane's not going to transition as much.
Actually, Walter Ray said he prefers to bowl against left-handers because they don't break down the lane.
Right, because they don't break down his side.
Right, his side.
But when they're good on the left side of the lane, they're going to be good the whole day.
All-time leader in career PBA Tour titles. Voted player of the decade in the 90s and 2000s.
All-time leading money winner, over $4 million. Oh my.
He can't believe that he didn't knock them all down.
Apparently the 8-pin has no idea
who
this guy is. There's that familiar up and out of it look from Walter Ray Williams Jr. as his bowling ball goes right by the 8-pin.
So there will not be a record 89 perfect games for Walter Ray. Well, we haven't seen Walter Ray Williams Jr. on TV for a while, but one of the last times that we did, Walter was a winner, and he got that win in a major championship, the 2010 USBC Masters. But now, almost 3 years later, Walter confesses that he has some doubts about his game.
Things have changed a lot since I was a superstar player. I'm still decent, but as far as the regular tour goes, I'm not quite the player that I once was, but every once in a while I can still bowl, evidently. You know, physically though, I'm feeling pretty good. I changed my grip a couple of years ago, and you know, I've got arthritis in my fingertips, and it was very painful to bowl, and I was getting to the point I just didn't want to bowl, and I knew I had to do something or else I was going to have to quit, period. And the new grip I have is a very relaxed grip. I'm in a tiny bit of pain, but it's nothing compared to what it was.
Strike solid 8-ring 10. The pins right now showing Walter Ray Williams Jr. no respect.
After Norton opened up in the first and then went spare, Walter Ray had a chance to really put the hammer down, and it's just got 9 spare twice. Go up by 11, Walter Ray. Now Norton. His third PBA season, won this Chameleon Championship, as we mentioned, 2 years ago. Nice ball from Scott Norton.
I think one of the neat things about this telecast, Lon, is 4 completely diverse styles. You've got Walter Ray Williams Jr. That's a straight down and in. Fawaz Abdulla kind of in between. You know that he's got a little bit of that hook shot. You got Scott Norton, a southpaw, and then your tournament leader Jason Belmonte is power personified. So I mean, it's just a little bit of everything. So after the big four in the first frame, Scott Norton makes a ball change, goes to something a little less aggressive, and throws a double.
Walter Ray, after watching Scott Norton double.
Get up, Kerry, come on.
Yeah, he saw trouble coming.
Well, he was asking it to get up and carry, and right now, I wouldn't use carry in the same sentence with what's going on this game thus far for Walter Ray Williams Jr. This ball just a little light. Again, striking the first, solid 8, ringing 10, and now swishing 7 for Walter Ray Williams Jr.
He talks a lot about what's next for him. He gets asked the question a lot. A lot of people say, hey, how about tour title number 50? He says, no, I'm not trying to win 50. I just got to get to number 48.
A little aura for Walter Ray Williams Jr. Pretty aggressive bowling ball, and takes his hand out a little bit and kind of keeps it nice and straight up the lane. And another ring of 10.
No breaks.
And this is starting to get monotonous.
For him, yes, indeed.
For him.
It's not all about you, Randy, not all about you.
Just another really good shot here, and the result is the same.
Tape.
Hard to beat anybody when you can't strike when you hit the pocket.
Strike 9999.
Taping up a spare ball. Look out, folks, he's got a knife. Last spare shot that he threw, it looked like he didn't like the way his hand came out. He's going to tape it up, keep that grip nice and soft so he doesn't have to squeeze it, shooting at this 10-pin.
Said the pain has lessened a lot since he did change his grip a few years ago, and that is what has elongated his career. So now, almost dead even match. Norton with Deadeye. Deadeye, the name actually of a horseshoe. He's a great horseshoe pitcher, is Walter Ray, and they named a horseshoe, competition horseshoe, after him. Working on a double, make it a turkey.
Nice ball change, Scott.
Three-rack. Three-rack.
Scott Norton up by 11 now on the legend. As for a re-rack. He says really everything has come together in the last year for him. He had a tough year before that, but as we mentioned, he did get married to his spouse, Craig Woodward. They moved into a new house. The business he has, he's got his own lawyer's practice in Oceanside. That is doing well. He's bowling better, and everything coming together. There is Craig Woodward. He's here with Virginia Norton and Rick Norton, Scott's parents. Trying to build on momentum now. Scott Norton.
Yeah. Hey, Norton. That's not a ham bone. That's a four-bagger.
Scott Norton up by 21 on Walter Ray Williams Jr. trying to get into the title match against Jason Belmonte. Come on back to South Point. Back at the Geico PBA World Series of Bowling in Las Vegas, the Chameleon Championship semifinal right now. It's Scott Norton on top of Walter Ray Williams Jr. And a big shout out and thanks to that man, Mike Monyak, South Point Director of Bowling. World Series of Bowling, been here 3 years now, and so many of the best bowlers in the game love them.
They're now
here.
tacky after he wiped them.
Ray Williams checking out the approach during the break. They came out with a mop, and
I don't know why he would do that in the middle of the game.
So Walter Ray getting clean up on the right side.
During the commercial break, lane maintenance came in and wiped the approaches, and now Walter Ray is saying, hey, why did you do that in the middle of the game? Now all of a sudden he can't slide.
We'll find out. I guess it can't be any worse than what's been happening. Come on, carry! Really? Wow.
Rinse and repeat, Randy.
Yeah, just another 10-pin. Ball's not going through the pins the right way to carry. 1, 2, 3, 10 pins, a solid 8, and a swishing 7.
Walter told us earlier how he feels that he does not have the game that he once had, but that doesn't mean he's given up. He really wants title number 48.
On a national tour, if you could win, it's that much more special because that's the ultimate. That's, you know, that's where all the best players are at, and I've got a chance to do that, and hopefully I can, you know, make some things happen and, you know, sneak another win out. That's always my goal, is to win another tournament. I'm not trying to get to 50 right now. I'm trying to get to 48 if I can, and hopefully, you know, I can win that. And, you know, next month or the month after that, I can think about winning another tournament or something. So.
Besides having won more PBA titles than any other player in history, Walter Ray also leads in money won with nearly $4.4 million. He's made 174 televised singles appearances in his Hall of Fame career. That is not a replay, ladies and gentlemen.
Really? That's almost impossible.
He would know.
Well, we're in Vegas. This is kind of like the dealer getting blackjack every hand. You know?
No, that actually happens. This never happens. Did you see what he did? I think he stuck his tongue out at that 10-pin. I'm not sure. It looked like from behind he did. All right. Williams down 23. Walter Ray getting very used to cleaning up that 10-pin. Here's what he did after he did convert. Yep. Scott Norton now. Trying to keep it going, working on a 4-bagger. Oh! 8-pin.
Well, Walter Ray doesn't feel sorry for him.
No, Walter
great shot. I mean, Scott just made a great shot and left a stone 8. But look at Walter Ray's scorecard, and he's like,
yeah, that
really?
Looked like he was looking at his scorecard. A little pat on the back.
It's still only a 22-pin match, and all Walter Ray has to do is figure out a way to strike. He can hit the pocket every shot, but he's got 6 consecutive 9 spares in a row and only 1 strike through 7 frames.
You know, it could be not necessarily patting himself on his back. He's patting that TR patch on the back. This is a tribute to fallen PBA pro Tony Reyes, who died last September. And Scott has that right on his left shoulder. Ooh.
Thank you. Oh, no. Don't do that again.
He got a little wide of target and then
whoops.
became very fortunate when the 3-pin was the only pin standing.
Boy, a lot of action behind that 3.
Yeah, there was a lot of activity going on there in the pin deck.
We saw Scott open up in the first game, as you mentioned, but he seems to be a little more focused now, but a little bit angry as well, too, here.
Walter Ray still has a possible 225. Scott Norton 236. Walter Ray staying with the same bowling ball that has only struck once this game.
Well, we still have a battle despite the travails. There's Walter Ray. Arms raised as though he just won a title.
Yeah. No way! Did that just happen?
Here's the Fast Safe Pain Relief replay brought to you by the makers of Bear Advanced Aspirin.
And after 6 straight frames of 9 spares, Walter Ray Williams Jr. finally gets all 10 to go down. And if there's anybody that could use a little bit of Bear pain relief, it's that man right there.
There's Walter Ray's mother, Esther. A lot of family members here. Walter Ray's sister, his niece here as well.
Esther, get the rabbit's foot out and start rubbing it, because your son needs to keep striking.
The flame.
Are you kidding me?
Really? You're kidding me.
This is like getting kicked in the stomach repeatedly, over and over and over again.
Yeah.
With this kind of angle, this shot should carry for him.
Kicked in the stomach 7 out of 9 times for Walter Ray in this game so far. Time now for today's Cold Truth, brought to you by Alka-Seltzer Plus Cold. Walter Ray Williams Jr. owns 47 career titles. The other 3 players on today's telecast, a combined 6. That's how good he is. Scott Norton now up by 21.
Yes. Come on, one more.
He is making it work.
All he needs a mark in the 10th frame here, and Walter Ray's day is finished.
Come on.
And all due to awful pin carry.
Sometimes you can just put it where you're supposed to, and it just doesn't happen. There you see Norton, a mark to shut out Walter Ray Williams from moving on and collecting title number 48. Scott Norton looking for his 2nd PBA title. There you go.
Kid's bowling really good, making some great shots.
Scott Norton will move through to the next round, and so we will have our last 2 champions of this chameleon pattern meeting in the title match. When we come back, Norton, wonder from down under. Welcome back to South Point in this PBA Chameleon Championship. Scott Norton has climbed up the stepladder to reach the title match here against number 1 seed Jason Belmonte, and both of these players are past Chameleon champions. Norton's victory came in 2010 against none other than current player of the year Sean Rash, and Scott was nearly perfect there, striking through the first 8 frames for a dominating 256-181 win. 8 was also the number of strikes Belmonte strung together to win his Chameleon title, where he also defeated Sean Rash 268-181. The Chameleon win was one of 3 titles Belmo collected at last season's Geico World Series of Bowling. Belmonte will start. A good Good start for Belmonte.
And there's Jason Belmonte sporting his very familiar facial fescue.
Facial fescue. Happy to have that out of the way, and now Norton.
I'm not sure Scott's old enough to shave yet.
Scott is 30 years old.
Okay, he's old enough to shave.
From Mission Viejo, California. They call him the counselor. He's an attorney with his own practice, and he matches Belmo strike for strike. A few minutes ago, we showed you Scott Norton's only PBA title win, the 2010 Chameleon Championship. What does he remember about it?
I don't remember a whole lot. I remember that I threw a lot of strikes, and that's about all I remember. I remember going kind of unconscious that match. I'm hoping to kind of rekindle some of that magic for this year. But being on the same TV show, being on the same pattern, it definitely makes me feel like I'm back to the level that I was a couple years ago.
So these two guys, the last two Chameleon champions, trying to go for this one here. On the left lane now. 7 pin.
Good shot. All right, come on.
Really, the one thing that I've noticed or that's really stood out for me is, for the most part, the players haven't had any trouble getting to the pocket, but it's a question of whether or not they get their bowling ball to go through the pins the right way to carry. The carry percentage is not very high today. Walter Ray's was horrible. Scott Norton's in the first game wasn't very good at all either. And I don't think this title match is going to be any different. I don't think the players are going to struggle to hit the pocket, although Belmonte's only thrown one shot. Rarely does he ever struggle to get his bowling ball into the pocket. It's going to come down to carry percentage.
Belmonte dominates here at the World Series of Bowling. All-time money leader, all-time pinfall leader, all-time TV finals leader. And Belmo doubles up. As we told you earlier, Jason won 3 PBA titles here at last season's Geico World Series of Bowling, the first of which was his win in the Chameleon Championship. So what have been his most memorable World Series moments?
I think when I won my first title, it just to kind of get that monkey off your back, and it really allowed me to kind of loosen up for the rest of the shows, knowing that, you know, I've ticked one W off, and that was what I was really there for, and it made it a lot easier every show thereafter. And then, you know, you always want to go down in history as someone to have achieved a milestone, and 300 on TV is one of those milestones I've wanted to do on the PBA Tour, and watching that 7-pin fall last for the 12th was really memorable.
Belmonte rolled just the 22nd televised 300 game in PBA history. Belmo trying to stay perfect here now in the third frame of this title match. Big time Belmo opens up with a 3-bagger.
That bowling ball gets down the lane, and it just has bad intentions on its mind as it drives through the pins. This guy's got such great touch. He makes this two-handed style and delivery look simple.
Belmo opening up his Player of the Year campaign right here on these South Point lanes. Seven pin.
You know, a while back, Lon, I was talking about how this match is going to come down to a carry contest.
Yeah.
Hey, come on. Feeling good.
Belmo on top, winning that contest, up by 21. Norton converts. Join the most active community of bowlers on the web by friending the PBA on Facebook. Get the latest tour info and tournament updates, view behind-the-scenes photos, and connect with other fans and the PBA's biggest stars. Simply head to PBA.com and click on the Facebook link to get started. First
Carry,
strike
please.
on this left lane, and he gets it. Scott Norton has thrilled the crowd here at South Point today, first dispatching Fawaz Abdulla, then one of the best ever in Walter Ray Williams Jr., now trying to take down the most dominant player in Geico World Series of bowling history, Jason Belmonte. Belmonte perfect through 3. Whoa! Near disaster for Belmo.
So much pin action. It's really hard for me to believe he'd ever leave a pocket 7-10. Now, I know he does on occasion, but there was so much action going on here. Comes the head pin across, or I think it was the head pin. It happened so fast.
It was bruised. It may have been. Wow. That's just amazing. The rev rate he has on that. This was a highly competitive Chameleon Championship this year, the World Series of Bowling. You see some of the other finishers crawling across the screen. You'll see Rhino Page in the upcoming World Championships. Chris Barnes won the WBT Championship, had a nice high finish here. McClellan we'll see in the World Championships as well. Now Belmo, who's top seed in the World Championships. And back at it.
It's just sick.
So his wife, Kimberly Belmonte, and brought their 2 kids. His parents, Marissa and Aldo.
Come on.
Here in the audience enjoying their son's performance. There's the whole family. Kimberly on the left. Long way to come, but it's worth it to see their son bowl. Oh, wow, you saw the fist pump. Scott thought he had it.
That didn't hit real special.
Soft 7, not good. Carry percentage very low for Scott Norton. A little reminiscent of what Walter Ray Williams Jr. did last game. Scott's got 2 strikes and 3 7-pins through 5 frames.
Norton down by 20 now. Bit spotty. Just a couple of strikes. He does have focus, I'll give him that. We have seen him buckle down when he needed to, and he needs to right now.
Oh, come on.
Kid's a great player. I mean, you don't win titles on the tour and make shows if you're a chump or a schlub.
Belmonte now working on a strike. He has struck 4 out of 5 frames.
No surprise he's going with a very non-aggressive bowling ball. Rev rate like he has, he doesn't need a lot.
Belmo trying to double now. Wow, that one really took a left turn.
Well, every shot he throws takes a left turn, but this ball was left of target. You don't see him pull a lot of shots. Those shoulders generally stay wide open, but this ball was definitely left of target. Leaving a 310, try to cover both pins with the spare ball.
Jason, what are you doing?
Wow.
Close, mate.
Opened for Belmonte.
Now Scott Norton is 1 strike away from taking the lead in this match.
If you're in this situation, do you like to stay on the lane and get the next ball thrown right away, or do you want to think about it?
No, I'd want to throw the next shot. Nothing worse than sitting down in the chair thinking about a bad shot that you just threw, kind of stewing on it. I'd want to get right back up and throw a good shot.
And there is a good enough shot for Belmo.
I mean, that shot there looked like it was almost 2 arrows right of the last shot.
Uninterrupted coverage of this WSOB Chameleon Championship. Jason Belmonte, Scott Norton. A tight match now.
See how big that open frame in the 6 for Belmonte plays here. Scott Norton has not missed the pocket, looking for his first double in the lead.
Can he take the advantage from Belmo? Yes, he can! Craig Woodward, Scott Norton's spouse, loving what he sees there.
He sticks the landing just brilliantly there. I mean, just he posts up shots so nice. Even though his timing's so late, he really has great balance at the foul line, and that time he had great pin action, and now he's got a 2-pin lead.
Patience and perseverance paying off now for Norton with the advantage.
Yeah, and that looked like it was right immediately out of his hand. He hasn't made too many shots like that today, but this one definitely looked right immediately.
Clear it up. So some cleanup work now for Scott Norton, just when he had Jason Belmonte where he wanted him.
You're right, and when you make a shot like that, when you know you've got your opponent on the ropes and you can take him out, you throw a shot like that, you just want to punch yourself in the face.
You got lucky to pick up that spare too. Skinny jeans is what you call it?
Yeah, you almost chopped it. Match is all even. Belmonte now can take a 10-pin lead with a strike here.
That's a nice comeback on that right lane for Belmonte.
Double for Belmonte, that's a lead change. Belmonte now leads by 10.
Here's a great look at Revolutions. Look at this ball. It goes out for a cheeseburger and fries and comes back with steak and baked potato. I mean, that is just so fun to watch. It's almost like that bowling ball has a turbo in it.
Up by 10 now. Big ball from Belmo. That's the exclamation mark he wanted.
Yeah, well, he stepped up big time here in the 8th and 9th for 3 in a row and a 20-pin lead. Now, max score, Scott Norton, 227. Jason Belmonte, 247.
Come on. Norton's not going away. Win or lose, Jason Belmonte is set to return next week here at the Geico World Series of Bowling and the Bowler's Journal Scorpion Championship. But he's not the only two-hander on the show. Finland's Osku Palermo is the #1 seed on a stepladder, but also includes Jason Sterner and the man who shot 100 at the 2011 Tournament of Champions, Tom Doherty. The Bowler's Journal Scorpion Championship next Sunday here on ESPN. Here you go. Norton working on a double. Belmonte on a 3-bagger. Down by 20 is Scott. He knows what his task is right now. Scott needs it.
Carry.
He got it.
One more.
All right, Lon, here's the situation. If Scott Norton strikes out in the 10th frame, Belmonte will have to throw the first strike in the 10th to win.
PBA Tour producing some fabulous talent, all coming to a head here. The Chameleon Championships, very indicative of the strength of this entire field anytime you get to a televised final. Can he strike out
Carry,
in the 10th?
Yes!
He's on his way.
Next shot is the fill shot, and it's huge because if he strikes, it forces Belmo to strike. If he gets 9 and Belmonte gets 9 spare strike, we have a tie.
Belmo trying to keep cool. He has been working on his mental approach to the game. Trying to take all nerves out of the equation. Scott's parents. Did he do it? He did! Norton did all he could to put pressure on Belmo.
What a great performance by Scott Norton, stepping up big time and putting the pressure back on Jason Belmonte. Now, Jason Belmonte has to strike. Anything less than a strike on this ball, Scott Norton wins.
Belmonte's family, wife, and parents now know their son's under pressure. Look at Scott Norton. Belmo needs a strike. Can he get it? No! The 10 stands up. Scott Norton has done it. He has come in as the number 3 seed and taken this Chameleon Championship, his second PBA title. Scott Norton won this title 2 years ago. Belmo won it last year. But in 2012, it is Scott Norton on top of the pack. He bowled 3 fantastic matches, underscored by the final few balls he threw here in the championship match.
Good job.
Good, babe.
What a moment for Scott Norton. He earned that trophy.
You're right, he did earn that trophy, Lon. Just great shots down the stretch, great shots when he needed it. He put the pressure on Belmonte, and I said at the beginning of this match, it would come down to carry. Jason Belmonte leaves the blower 10. This man's a 2-time champion out here now.
Norton came up biggest when he needed it most, and he got Jason Belmonte to flinch.
This ball looks great. Right before it gets to the head pin, rips the rack apart. But pins in front of the 10 instead of into it, and that was the end for Jason Belmonte.
He knows he had it in his grasp. And now Scott Norton, after seeing that shot, realizes exactly what has happened. He is a PBA champion once again, and we'll have a chance to talk with Scott Norton in just a moment when we come back to the World Series of Bowling. The PBA Chameleon Championship is brought to you by Bear Advanced Aspirin. See how it can work for you at FastReliefChallenge.com. The USBC, enhancing the bowling experience for millions of bowlers. To learn more, visit us on bowl.com. Hammer Bowling, nothing hits like a hammer. And by Deviate. We are Deviate. Tonight, we bowl. Welcome back to South Point, the Geico PBA World Series of Bowling. What a championship performance we saw from that man, Scott Norton, as he holds the trophy for his second PBA title, and right now he's standing by with Kimberly Pressler.
Scott, you are very emotional, and for good reasons. You took down some pretty powerful players to win this today. Did you think you were going to do it?
I always believed. I mean, I won this 2 years ago, so I knew I had a good shot on this, but the guy from Bahrain, Fawaz, he bowled so amazing through so much turmoil in the last few days, and it was so amazing to watch him come out here and compete, and especially as well as he did. He definitely gave me a huge run. And then Walter bowled so amazing and just could not carry. I could not believe it, but I mean, I just threw the ball as well as I could in the 9th and 10th that last game, and just prayed for the best. And you know, I can only do what I can do, and the rest wasn't up to me.
Do you dedicate this win to anybody?
Yes. First of all, I want to dedicate this win to my good friend Tony Reyes, who left us far too early. And I know he was up there watching us today. And to my amazing support staff, my mom, my dad, Craig, Missy, Drew, all of my friends and family, I would not be here without them. And this is just as much theirs as it is mine.
I'm sure he's watching over you. Congratulations, Scott Norton, on your second PBA Tour title.
Scott said his win here 2 years ago allowed him to step out of the shadow of his Hall of Fame mom, Virginia. Well, Scott Norton has the limelight all to himself now. And here's how he do it. Let's take a look at the Geico Championship recap. Randy.
All right, Lon, well, it was all Scott Norton. You know, he trailed in every match today. He came back beautifully here in the 10th frame, throwing 3 big strikes to put the pressure back on Jason Belmonte. Belmonte needs all 10, rips the rack, pins flying in front of the 10-pin, not to be. Scott Norton sits and watches and wins his second career title.
Scott Norton with 3 big wins on this championship. Next week, Belmo will be back for another shot at a title with the Scorpion Championship. Another two-hander. Oscar Palermo is the top seed. It will be fun to watch. What a performance by Scott Norton, defeating some of the game's best to win his second PBA title. He went through the Bahrainian. He went through Walter Ray Williams Jr., finished off Belmo with a great performance in the final frames. Hope you enjoyed it. For Randy Peterson and Kimberly Presser, I'm Lon McCarran. We'll see you next week.